There are plants that feed us, plants that heal us, and plants that seem to remember something we have forgotten. Long before medicines filled our shelves, before streetlights chased away the darkness, there grew a humble herb beside the paths of ordinary people. It asked for nothing, yet for thousands of years it traveled with pilgrims, protected travelers, watched over doorways, and whispered its way into dreams. This is the story of Mugwort.
Hello my friends, and welcome back to the Enchanted Wood. We've just hit 200 subscribers, which I can't believe has happened. That has made me ever so humble. So please, if you like hearing about the folklore of woodland, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and show your support in any ways that you can. I'm ever so humble. And yeah, my name's Mark, and welcome to the Enchanted Wood. And this time around we are taking a look at the mighty mugwort. So mugwort is one of my all-time favourite plants, and every year around Midsummer I take a walk out of my way and I go to what I like to think of as secret places to gather mugwort. Not because it's rare, but because once you learn to recognise it, because you'll see it everywhere once you do, it's really common. But just because, well, to me it's special. Some I dry and use for tea. Some I bind into small bundles, and the rest I'll hang around until next summer. It's just a small little ritual, but it's one that reminds me that some of the oldest traditions are often the quietest. So yes, the mighty mugwort, as I like to call it. So its Latin name is Artemisia vulgaris, and it's a hardy perennial, and it grows throughout Britain, Europe and South and much of Asia. Not just South Asia, but much of Asia. It likes to favour roadsides, and that's important. It likes hedgerows, riverbanks and woodland edges, and forgotten corners where the soil has been freshly disturbed. So it can grow well over a metre tall. It's quite spindly, but it does grow quite tall, and the leaves are dark green. But on the underside, when you turn them over, they're a kind of silver. They have a silver shimmer to them, and it develops small clusters of bright red and orange flowers. So it's not a flashy plant, but perhaps that's quite fitting, because not all of the oldest wisdoms are the loudest, and mugwort really does shine when it comes to old wisdom, and not like announcing itself in a grand way. But it doesn't have to scream to show its importance. So the plant itself really is older than written history when it comes to its folklore. People believed that with it living along roadsides, that mugwort for thousands of years was a protector. The Romans knew about it, the Anglo-Saxons knew about it, and certainly the Celtic peoples. So it was well known to our ancient ancestors. And all across Europe and Asia, it became one of humanity's oldest companion plants, and that companionship and that relationship with the road and travel is really key to it. So long before written history, Mugwort was already with us. The Latin name links it to the goddess Artemis, and she was the guardian of wild places. She was a protector of women, the goddess of the hunt, and all of these things play into Mugwort's folklore. And she was a figure deeply connected to the untamed landscape. So whether the plant was named after her specifically for that purpose way back in history, or whether it was a new development, nobody really knows, but it is quite fitting and appropriate. So Mugwort has always belonged to the edges. It's always belonged where civilization meets the wild, and once in the wild, it helped watch over those that needed it. It was the first herb in the 9 Herb Charm, which I'll do a video on, an episode on in the future, I think, because it's well worth checking out. And that is one of the oldest references to Mugwort, and it's an old Anglo-Saxon poem that lists 9 secret herbs and their medicinal purposes and how to mix them into a healing charm. And it was written over 1,000 years ago, and lists those 9 sacred herbs. And Mugwort is right at the top. It's number 1 on that list. So to the Anglo-Saxons, this was a particularly important healing herb. So that alone tells you how important Mugwort used to be to our ancestors. For the Romans, they believed Mugwort could ease tired feet, which again was important for travellers. Then those travellers placed it in their sandals before leaving on long journeys. Some believe it prevented exhaustion and could help you travel for longer, while others believed that it protected the traveller from unseen dangers, because of course our ancestors knew that there were, or believed rather, that it wasn't just humans that you had to be wary of, or animals. There were supernatural entities to be afraid of when you stepped into the forest. So Mugwort has got many uses, and through wearing it or burning it or consuming it, it did different things. Through the Middle Ages, people often carried sprigs of mugwort while travelling, like I say, because it protected travellers. It was also used for protection and the aiding of sleep and dreams. And in modern day, no tradition surrounds mugwort more than a connection to dreams. In fact, our ancestors believed that too. And across Europe, people believed that mugwort was a herb that sharpened intuition and encouraged vivid dreaming. So it could help you on vision quests if you were a shaman. It was placed beneath pillows to aid dreaming and for you to get a good night's sleep. And it was meant to soothe the mind and banish negative energies while you slept. Some believed that it opened minds to visions, to contact your ancestors or spirit guides. And some people also believed that it just opened the mind to sharpen your senses so that you would be more attuned, so that you could listen more, perhaps for those dangers in the forest. But whether we see these stories as literal or as symbolic, they really do speak of something deeply human, and that was the fear of stepping out into the unknown and wanting something or someone to hold your hand on the journey, and for exploring the unknown with a protector beside you. And Mugwort held that honour. It was the protector on and guardian of and guide of travellers. So yeah, today Mugwort has been taken a step further, and it's often a favourite of the hedge witch. It aids people in dream work, which hedge witches are renowned for doing. But as far as folklore goes, to our ancestors, there were traditions of picking mugwort at the height of summer, so around the midsummer solstice. And throughout Britain and Europe, mugwort was long known as that protective herb. So bundles of it would be dried, tied together and hung above doorways. They would be weaved during midsummer celebrations, and then they would be tossed into fires. And it's said that depending on how it burned would predict good fortune or ill. And in many traditions, it wasn't that mugwort was feared, but it was certainly respected. So yeah, one tradition would be that if the smoke, when it was burned, if the smoke burnt clear, then that would be a good omen. But again, if it burnt black, then that would spell misfortune. Mugwort often grows along roadsides. It grows where people and worlds cross or collide. You know, roadsides, crossroads, village edges, boundaries between one world and the next, one place and the next. It's a kind of, it guides you, and you take it with you when you get into or have journeys through liminal spaces. So it occupied that boundary. It was a plant that went with you to guide you and protect you on your journey. So yeah, it came because of the roadsides that it grew along. It became associated with journeys and transitions from one world into the next, from the crossing of boundaries and the crossing of thresholds. And in British folklore, English folklore, mugwort would represent, or does represent, protection, safe passage. It's said to aid in dreaming, to give you pleasant dreams. It's a healing plant. It grants access to hidden knowledge, just as the fern does. But whereas the fern holds knowledge, mugwort grants you the protection to go seeking that knowledge, and guides you when you seek that knowledge and journey into those places, even through dreaming. Yeah, its protective quality is called upon when you burn it for banishing negative energies, much like sage. But I much prefer mugwort to sage, just because I find myself, I have an affinity with mugwort. It's a guardian to us as we pass through thresholds, as we open doors. And whereas the thorn of the bramble and the hawthorn was to tell you to keep out, like I say, the mugwort is you take with you. It is the traveller's protective herb. And it also has healing properties as well. Healing upset stomachs. It's associated with a woman's menstrual cycle, and it can be made into teas. It can be used for aiding in sleep, for upset stomachs, for colds, for gastric problems. I will say now though, as a disclaimer, please do not partake in mugwort if you are at all pregnant. That is a definite no-no. I don't recommend that at all. It was at its strongest on St. John's Eve, and people would gather the herb believing that it reached its full strength in the midsummer sun and around the solstice. It was made into wreaths again and used for protection and banishing, as well as aiding in sleep and astral travel, if you like, I think is what they call, well, I don't think, I know that's what they would call it these days. These customs blended ancient seasonal celebrations with later Christian traditions. So it just goes to prove how important mugwort was to our ancestors. It wasn't just a pagan herb. The Christian belief as well, the Christian church thought very highly of mugwort. And ecologically, it's very important for the environment too. It doesn't spread through seeds. It spreads underground through its root system, which helps stabilize soil and stop soil erosion. It's massively important for a lot of butterfly and moth larvae, and numerous caterpillars really do rely on it. So ecologically it's quite important as well. And once you see it, once you recognize it on a roadside, then it immediately stands out to you. And it does me, and it makes me smile whenever I'm out and about walking and I see mugwort. It just brings a little smile to my face, because I think to myself, I have something watching over me. So that's my small take on mugwort. For centuries it found its way in traditional medicines. Like I say, it was used for digestive complaints, menstrual disorders, fatigue, colds, and general weakness. Yeah, it could also be used in poultices and salves and washes. You can use the leaves that way. And it has quite a strong scent when you rub it, and it actually smells quite sweet. So it's also really good at repelling insects and for freshening homes. And it was used in bedding quite often as well, and that smells beautiful when you crush those leaves. So yeah, today it's mostly used as a tea. And like I say, if you're pregnant, don't partake in mugwort tea, and don't overdo it. If you do partake in mugwort tea, just steep the leaves for 5 minutes or so, add a little bit of honey to taste, and it really is a nice cup of traditional herbal tea. And again, it can be found along most roadsides, although I would caution on harvesting mugwort from roadsides, just because of modern cars and dogs and all kinds of, if you can find it in a nice secluded off the beaten track area, then why not? Because it's well worth it. But yeah, as with many herbs, mugwort is not suitable for everyone, so please, disclaimer, definitely not for pregnant women. But that's my little take on mugwort. So where does it leave us, or what does it teach us? I think the greatest lesson mugwort offers is that, I think because it grows where few people think to look, and the fact that it is overlooked, along roadsides, in forgotten corners and in neglected places. It just waits and watches, and it watches over us. And don't we all need that? Again, while we're out and about, you know, the bramble might protect our fortress, it might be our fortress, but when we leave that fortress, there was mugwort to guide and protect us. So every summer I think I'll return to a forgotten place to collect more, and please join me. Yeah, mugwort. That's my little look. My name's Mark. This has been the Enchanted Wood. Thank you for your support. Like I said at the beginning, 200 subscribers. Wow, that's humbled me. So yes, I'll continue to try and make these a little bit better, production wise, and grow. I hope you watch or follow me as the channel grows and watch us grow together. Please leave any comments, and thank you for watching, and until next time, please stay enchanted.